go ahead and introduce episode number 5 and the topic
Alrighty.
of problem solving, and then when we're done, you can just kind of close it off too. So,
Sounds good.
all right.
Welcome, everybody, to Staying Connected with the Wi-Fi Guy. In episode 5, we're going to cover problem
Freezing up, buddy. It's not gonna
Essential.
work.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 5 of Staying Connected with the Wi-Fi Guy. In this episode, we're going to cover problem solving. This applies to small businesses, medium businesses, and large businesses alike.
One of the things I want the audience to kind of think about, wrap your head around this. You know, let's say, for example, you had to rely on a hotspot to have your Wi-Fi communications. You're in a rural area, maybe not, maybe you don't have fiber, maybe you don't have cable, but you've got hotspot capability because there's a cell tower within eyesight. So you're going to take advantage of the 4G or the 5G hotspot services that your favorite internet cellular service is going to provide. So for example, if it's a 4G setup, you're going to expect between 5 and 15 megabits download. Can you imagine that for a minute? That's
Wow.
on the average. If it's 5G, there is a possibility you could go up to 100 megs. There's a definite possibility, but it's all throttled based on the number of people using it. So when you have those kind of challenges, and Dustin, you ran into this, and Tyler, you ran into this, you went to places. The problem was they were running their entire environment on hotspots.
Yes.
And
They
what
have
did you
these elaborate computer systems, and yeah, like they're wondering why the app's not updating on their phone. It's because they missed the whole connectivity piece.
And so how did you solve that problem?
The Starlink's the only answer for that.
Yeah.
Because you're in a cell phone dead zone. And then there's ways that you can get high-speed internet, and Starlink is the answer.
You know,
Well, and you see with the Starlink, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the portable Starlink that's coming out.
oh yeah,
The hikers or
yeah.
I think the whole dynamic for connectivity to the internet's going to change in the next couple of years. Yeah,
Oh.
you go from the only option is the cable company to like what we know today.
And there's also something we could start diving into is public internet services. Like McDonald's built their campaign off of free Wi-Fi, but that Wi-Fi is unsecure. It's public. Anything you use and look up and utilize on there, anything you use it for, anybody with any wits about them with a computer could go in there, snag information, snag what you've been working on, snag ideas.
I think
Problem.
it does definitely lean into the discussion point here of problem solving, because what you're saying, Tyler, is the problem really was we got to be able to back down the house when there's nobody there. You know, everybody wants to have that comfort margin that everything is
Right.
locked, closed like it's supposed to be. But that's the problem. The problem is making sure that happens so you guys can go do what you have to do. And then to solve the problem, you moved forward and introduced technology that wasn't quite mature at the time,
Yes.
but you were able to put it together to where it was reliable and you could count on it, and you could reduce the stress factor of knowing that your house is secure. And like you said, Dustin, just fast forward to where we are today. Not only can you do that from the outside perspective of your house, but you can do it from the inside too. Let's just say, for example, your hobby is, orchids, and you forgot to close the shades and you just left, and the sun is a little too intense. It may damage your beautiful work of, working with orchids. Can you imagine being able to reduce that stress factor,
Right.
but just boom, taken care of? I mean, it seems like a far-fetched example, but in Florida, it's a big example because a lot of people who leave their homes who want to cut the cost of air conditioning,
Mhm.
and they forgot to close their shades.
Mm.
And now they're gone for a week. I mean, that's a perfect problem that can be solved today. And, but just as Dustin stated, you go to Lowe's, hey, I want this, this, and this. And the salesman making $15 an hour says, yeah, I can, what's your address? I'll ship them to you. Hey, I'm happy.
Right.
A week later, I get this big box of stuff in, and maybe an installation team comes in, and maybe, it's done. But then I'm like, well, can you show me how this works? How can I integrate it into my smart home? Or how can I become a smart home? They don't
Well,
have
that's the
those.
thing. I mean, with the shades, there was so many options. There was keypads, there was remotes, there was solar panels, and I couldn't really get an answer on everything that I needed. But after having that, I know those shades inside and out. So I can confidently, just recommend, here's what you need, and here's what you need to set up, and it all requires like a great Wi-Fi system to run the shades.
It's the
Yeah,
foundation of it all. It
Same
is.
thing with the Roomba.
And I know you've spent probably more than 50% of the overall effort in that particular segment of the challenge is making sure you understand by gathering the parameters of what's going on. And I've seen you do that, and I've seen you then scale it. That's the other part of this, which your ability to scale the solution.
You don't know why. Different sets of computers at different times. And what you do is you start collecting information about that problem. What computers is it happening to? When's it happening? Any and every last detail. And at the time, you really don't know what direction you're going to go with it, but you need to capture as much information or paint that picture about that problem. And eventually you get down to the root cause. You start identifying patterns in the problem, and you're just figuring out what direction to go. But it's basically
Your ability to look at a problem and break the problem down so it can be solved using the solutions and the technology and the approaches that you've used before. I mean, it takes a really special focus and dedication and a discipline to the technology, because the technology, as you know, is changing, and you're willing to stay in pace with that technology change and apply your same solution and your same forensic analysis as it continues to move forward. That's an important point. I want people to realize that that's where you are, and the offering that Wi-Fi gives to solving the problem.
Well, to me, I mean, it's the next logical step. You work on 10, you work on 25, you work on 1,000, you work on 30,000, and now it's a picture that really, I mean, it's everybody. Everybody's got the exact same issue, and it's a large problem. So, that's where we come in and we're doing the problem solving, but we're trying to build a solution that scales.
And as you said, I mean, these are solvable things. These are repeatable, solvable things you've done, and you're going to continue applying those to the new challenges that are coming. And one of the things you also shared is that you're getting invited into more networking opportunities, with companies and services. People that the light bulbs, they're beginning to really, glow in people's heads.
To figure out how to utilize the technology to make their lives more efficient.
In the aspects of problem solving, one of the things that you probably have seen, no, I know you have, it's not probably, I know you've seen it. Sometimes people can't articulate the problem. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not as awkward as someone trying to describe a ping or a gene noise in a car, like some kind of squeal or squeak or something in a car, and telling the mechanic that they don't know what it is, and they're trying to articulate the problem. This is different. I mean, you personally go, you yourself right now, personally go and meet with the customer and work with them one-on-one to try to break down the problem. So can you share anything about what people can do to help, sort of categorize the problem, make it so that we can break it down component by component?
Well, sometimes people don't even realize there is a problem or it's something that's solvable. So from my experience, I mean, just going out there to see it firsthand, that's step number one. Once you understand it, that's when you can come back and remotely solve that problem on a larger scale. But, capturing that problem is what people, really need to do, or point out like, well, hey, it doesn't need to be like this. There's got to be a better way. Sometimes they need to realize that there is a problem that can be solved.
And what I've seen in just talking to people, I mean, on a casual basis, when I'm talking about the Wi-Fi guy, the company, where it is, where it's going, I can see people begin to think, well, is there really that much problems with the Wi-Fi service? And I'll tell them, I said, well, let's talk about that. You have Wi-Fi coverage through your cellular phone, you've got it in your home. Are you happy with it? And if it's a family, usually there's someone in the family saying no,
Mhm.
it's not dependable, or I know the bandwidth is not there when I'm trying to do something. There's dead zones everywhere, and we all know that. Dead zones everywhere. So in articulating and breaking down the problem, the one thing that I've discovered with people is really getting to understand what is it they expect from the service, how are they using the service, and where is the service failing them. Now, if you're dealing with a business like you have, large businesses, big complicated issues, then you've got a whole set of challenges in breaking down that, that conversation with them. So I'm really kind of happy that this is a subject matter of this particular podcast, because I don't want people to trivialize the fact that solving a problem with an IT issue may sound, maybe it's not that important, it's not top of my list, but it's a service that we count on just like we turn a light switch on. If the industry is not keeping in my mind, their fingers on the pulse of the changes that are coming and are already here, and need individuals like yourself that understand that and can work towards a problem resolution and scale it. There's where my concern is now with how exponentially technology is coming into everybody's life.